Raymond Chandler quipped, "When in doubt, have a man walk through the door with a gun in his hand." But that advice should come with a word of caution, because prose fiction isn't the best medium through which to explore extreme experience. Cinema's great at depicting battles and fights and explosions and car chases. We're often surprised when the film adaptation of a novel we love introduces a whole lot of fighting and action that we don't remember from the original. An extreme example was the cinematic adaptation of Richard Ford's Pulitzer Prize-winning novel Independence Day. Ford's quiet tale of a middle-aged real estate agent taking his troubled son on a trip to the Basketball Hall of Fame became, on the big screen, a science fiction epic in which Will Smith has to save the world from an alien invasion. Cinema primarily presents experience from an objective perspective. By that, I mean that when we watch Will Smith flying his plane towards the alien mothership, our viewing of the incident isn't linked to any subjective position. We're not viewing the scene through a character's experience. In fiction, many of the best battle scenes also rely on some form of objectivity. In Tolstoy's superb account of the Battle of Borodino in War and Peace, he often relies on the perspectives of characters who are watching the scene from above, and who at the time are not really directly involved in the fighting. But we still see things through the perspective of different characters. Indeed, one of the reasons why literature remains important in our videological era is because it's better than cinema at exploring inner experience. Or at least, it's better at exploring certain types of inner experience. Because the other big difference between cinema and writing is that in cinema they can use non-verbal sounds and pictures to convey experience, whereas when writing, it's only words. And this is why it's very difficult to write about extreme experiences, because extreme experiences are times at which words fail us. They're times at which our flight or fight survival responses kick in, and our brains do away with any function that isn't absolutely essential to survival. Words are one of the first things to go. That's why when we're really frightened, we scream, "Ah!" rather than shouting, "How frightening!" Because we've only got words to write with, it's very hard to write about a wordless state of experience. Authors are often driven to resort to cliches or myths. For instance, despite the insistence of 1,000 writers, when one's knocked unconscious, everything doesn't go black. In fact, everything doesn't really go anything, because if it did, you wouldn't be unconscious. It's not that fiction shouldn't deal with extreme experiences, but often in order to write about them effectively, we need to approach them from a distance. We need to borrow Richard Ford's phrase, concentrate on the quieter human eddy. The scenes we most remember from Vietnam War films are often battle scenes. The napalm attack in Apocalypse Now, the carnage at the end of Platoon, the fight for Hamburger Hill. In contrast, Tim O'Brien's short story collection, The Things They Carried, deals similarly with the dehumanizing effects of the Vietnam War, but it finds its resonance through looking at quieter moments. The climactic action of the title story occurs when Lieutenant Jimmy Cross burns the letters he's been carrying from his sweetheart back home. And to an extent, a similar rule applies when we're writing about emotionally intense experiences. A good example is Jhumpa Lahiri's short story, A Temporary Matter, in which a couple's relationship falls apart 6 months after they suffered a stillbirth. What can one say? How can one put into words the grief of a couple on the morning that their child is born dead? It defies language. In order to write about it effectively, it's necessary to approach it from a distance, to look at how the couple are coping 6 months down the line, to concentrate on the quieter human eddy. Thanks for watching. Good luck with your writing.